Hey, we back. We live on the 1MC. It's your boy Keith. For those shipmates, even those that's not on the ship, welcome back to the 1MC, man. Today, very special guest, one of my bros, back in my chief days, Jared All Ford. That crew ran deep. A lot of folks on there made it to the big time, twin screw status, and he's one of them. AKA El Jefe. For those who don't know, big dog in the gym, eating all the weights up.
Hey,
And if he see you in there on your phone, not lifting the weights, he probably gonna manually lift you up himself. Uh, hey, say what's up to the people. Command Master Chief Tito, aka El Jefe.
hey, what's going on?
How
What's going on, man? Glad to finally be on with you, man.
Hey, real talk. You one of the main people that got me to start doing this, man. I know you remember. I was
I
like,
do.
man, I did a podcast, and you was like, man, do it, do that shit. I was just
Yeah,
like, I don't know, man. But you was always one of the big supporters, man. And I really appreciate that. Definitely inspired me to go ahead and get back running on this thing, man. So much appreciation for that, though.
for sure.
Hey, man. What you want to talk to the people, man? You got anybody to say what's up to? What's good?
Oh
Uh,
man, I mean, I'm sure
for a history
family's
for you.
watching. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, what's up to the family and anybody else that's tuning in? Just to hopefully, I don't say nothing too crazy. So,
Oh,
but
hey,
shout out to those that's waiting for it.
oh yeah, there's a lot of folks waiting on this, man. A lot of folks waiting on this. As soon as I posted the joint on there, and it was like, oh, well, hey, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, but let's hop into it, man. Let's talk about your upbringing, man. So, you told me that you're Cuban, man. So let's talk about your upbringing in your household and your early childhood years.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, North Side Fort Worth is where I was raised, to be specific. For the most part, raised by my grandmother and grandfather, who were both Cuban, both immigrated from Cuba in '59. As a matter of fact, the year that Castro took power. Um, well, my grandfather first, and then my grandmother a year later. Um, Grew up in a very traditional Cuban household. Um, it was my grandfather's way or no way. There was not much room for conversation or discussion. Um, English wasn't really allowed to be spoken at the house. And to be honest, um, my grandmother was in the country 50 plus years and never learned the language. So, I mean, enough to defend herself, but uh, I grew up speaking Spanish, eating Cuban food every day. My mom was still a big part of my life, but for the most part, I raised by grandma and grandpa, and grew up in Northside Fort Worth, which is nicknamed Little Mexico.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So imagine being the one black-looking kid
Mm.
in every elementary school class that actually understood what they were saying when they were talking about. So it definitely was an interesting upbringing, and I'd say shaped a big part of how I am today. You know, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. It kind of sets you up for the military when you think about it, because when you walk onto that ship or whatever command for the first time, it's going to be a big melting pot. So you being able to be dual, language, man, that's one thing I always regretted, man. Like I just wished I could have been raised speaking a different language, because walking into, whatever country I walk into now, I'm automatically a tourist, man. I got nothing to relate back to say, yeah, I can actually do something a little bit different than the rest of the Americans. So I know that was actually an advantage for you coming up once you got a little older.
Yeah, I mean, recently when I was command senior chief in Comfort, our CP-22 mission was in South America and the Caribbean. So uh,
Exactly. I know. Oh man, I know you was living large out there for
it
sure.
definitely paid its benefits in the Dominican Republic. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So let's talk a little bit more about your upbringing, man. So you said dad was no nonsense. Mom was, strictly Cubans, all Spanish. Like going through, elementary, middle, high school. How did that help you, or I guess limit you, if that actually did happen as you were coming through, grade school and high school years.
Grade school. So my grandfather volunteered at the elementary school when I was growing up. From the time I was in maybe first grade till the time I was in fifth grade. So that there wasn't much room for me to maneuver and do anything reckless. He was a 6 foot two, 250 pound plus man, and every bit terrifying. But
Right.
I had to keep it. I had to pretty much keep it together in elementary, and come middle, I got moved to a kind of like a magnet school. Again, my grandfather's doing, um, and bust out from the neighborhood into the middle school. Um, so none of the people, rarely, I don't think, honestly, I don't think anybody from elementary followed me to that middle school. So kind of remaking friends and establishing new relationships. And then for high school, I actually went to my neighborhood's rival high school.
Mm.
Um, so the high school I was supposed to go to was Northside High, and I ended up going to Trimble Tech, which is on the south side of town. Well, one of the rivals. And Tech was a big melting pot. It was about 50% black, 50%. Well, I would say 49% black, 49% Mexican, Latino, and then the other 2% was everybody else. Uh, but it was a good time, man. I still got childhood friends from high school that I still talk to, especially my brother Homero, man. We've been close for about 25, 30 years. So it's shaped me as far as my upbringing. I've always been good in school because it wasn't an option for me not to.
Right.
Um, but I would say citizenship wise and being a upstanding student was probably where I had the most trouble. I could get the good grades, but I wasn't the best as far as behavior.
It's all good. I'm sure we all been through that past a little bit.
Yeah,
It's just too tempting in high school not to do something stupid. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about high school. As you're getting ready to wrap up high school, how did the recruiter get you wrapped in the thing in the Navy was the place for you?
So I dodged my original recruiter for a year. My original recruiter was this Italian cat. He was a career recruiter, Salvatore.
Mm.
Everything about this dude just screamed lie. Just a damn lie. Everything about him. As a matter of fact, I remember him pulling out this binder in the recruiting station, and it had pictures of his cars and stuff, and that's what he was trying to win me over with. Was like, oh man, peep this whip I got here, and this is what the Navy can provide. And one of them was like this old beat up box Suburban on rims. I'm like, man, that car already 10 years old. What we talking about?
Right.
But so dodged him for a year, and in between that year, started getting into a little bit of trouble, man. Um, to the point where I had collected a decent amount of warrants, and
Okay.
a decision had to be made, man. I had already started college. I went to the local 2-year college, the JUCO. Uh,
Yeah.
Skipped every class. That definitely was not focused in that. I don't think I passed one of those classes.
Yeah.
Um, and then it really just came to the point where it's like, man, I got to make a decision. If I continue where I'm at, this is probably not going to be a good look, or um, let's get this military thing a shot. And really, the only reason that I enlisted was I was going to do my 4 and go, get that college money, and then go down to UT and experience what real college life is about.
Right.
Uh, so walked into the same recruiting station, and there was another cat in there, a black dude. As a matter of fact, his first name was Tito Alexander, FC1. Cool cat, and he shot it to me straight, man. Dude wrote down a list of, hey, you're gonna either like this and you're not gonna like this. You're gonna hate this. This will work for you. And he slid it across the table. And he's like, that's what I got, man. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I can rock with that. And then off to Mep Sagwo, man. It was I think I stayed in debt maybe 6 months and then was gone after that.
Okay, so what job did you originally choose? We know you're a command master chief. What was your original rate, and how did you come about choosing that rate?
AZ, man. Again, my recruiter put me on game. I told him, I said, hey, man, I don't want to go to no ship.
Why everybody don't want to go to the ship? Hey. I don't understand that, bro.
So listen, and as time has developed, I have grown an appreciation for ship's company.
Right.
So I'm not the typical squadron derelict that hates ship's company. Ship's company is all right.
Yeah.
But coming in,
I ain't going to no ship. I ain't swimming nowhere. I ain't going to no ship.
Bro,
why you going to the day?
Okay. Yeah. Still to this day, I can't tread water.
I don't understand this shit.
And everybody tells me like, oh man, how you in the Navy? You can't swim. And my response is always the same. Is, hey man, if something happens so bad that I actually have to swim, hey man, it's over anyway.
Yeah. Bad in ship. I'm looking like them cats. So what's that movie got there with Leonardo DiCaprio? Titanic.
Titanic.
Like that.
Titanic. Yeah. Except I'm gonna fit on that board now. I'm gonna get on that board.
Hey, she gonna have to scoot her ass over. Look. Hey, Jack could have survived though. I know they did that shit for the dramatic and shit. She had enough space for Jack to come up out of that shark infested water, bro. Come on, bro.
You know them wasn't real sailors, man. Them real sailors. He would have got on that board.
Facts. Hey, you want to scoot over. We gonna have to at least change out like every 30 minutes for them hypothermias hit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. So originally an AZ. What's an AZ for the people who might not know? What's an AZ?
So, Aviation Maintenance Administration. People love to call us air yeomans. We hate that. Don't do that. we not no damn air yeomans. We control and monitor all the administrative requirements that go with track and maintenance for aircraft. So high time components, you know, if a component only has so much time it can fly, we track that and make sure the maintainers replace it as they're supposed to. You know, I tell all the maintainers that, you know, they needed somebody with some intellect and the ability to read to be able to make sure that they did maintenance the appropriate way. I know they're not going to like me saying that, but they know it's true.
No, I mean, everybody needs some QA because the complacency set in. You need somebody to always QA you. So they understand that. All right. So came in as an AZ. What year did you go to boot camp?
So I went to boot camp in 04, man.
Okay. So you the 9/11 time frame. A lot of folks that we've had on recently was coming in or was already in by 9/11. Yeah. So you come in 04. What's the first duty station and how is that like as a AZ?
They got me, man. They hoodwinked me. And let me tell you why. So the first duty station was Point Mugu, California.
Okay. I ain't never been there, so yeah, give me some background.
Hey, that's the Navy's best kept secret.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you talking about beaches? It don't ever get really hot. It don't ever get really cold.
Yeah.
So dropping a young man off in Point Mugu, California, and that's the first time I had even been to California. Period.
Right.
This weather, the scenery. Yeah,
we call it the scenery. Yeah,
the scenery. Was definitely a shock. And then I had a nice little barracks room, you know, to myself. No complaints. Eventually, I was there. You know, I got to get out in town and whatnot. A lot of BAH, a lot of money to move around freely. So I started looking around. I'm like, this ain't a bad gig.
They ain't too bad after all.
I'm surveying the situation. This ain't too bad.
Right. Yeah. So in Point Mugu, what did you actually have when you were actually working? What did you do out there?
So
what was the job?
Navy got me again, but this time not good. So in aviation, when you had a squadron, You might have your rate, and that's cool and all. But if you are E4 and under, and you show up at a squadron, yeah, you going to the line shack. Okay,
Right.
you going to that good line shack. And so I get to the command, and I got to work in my rate for a split second, and then it was like, hey man, you gotta go to the line and get your plane captain. What's the line? So I get out to the line, and it's they're like, oh yeah, this is where we wash aircraft and
Oh.
service aircraft and launch and recover aircraft. I'm like, I'm an AZ. I do paperwork.
Right.
Say for me.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
they didn't care nothing about that. So
Like, so
the
that's
line
enough.
check was my new home. Uh, and now all the way up until I made second class. So typically it's, hey, once you get your plane captain, you go back to your shop. I got my plane captain, and they were like, well, we still need people. If you make third, we'll send you back to your shop.
Mm.
I made third. And they're like, we need somebody to go to night check, cover down his suit. But if you make second, you go back to your shop. I made second. Why I never leave that dang line check?
You know how that go. Once you get qual, you locked in, bro.
Right.
I mean, that's every rate. That's every single rate because the IT will be telling people, hey, get your CWO, your communication watch officer qual, and then we'll let you go try out another part of the IT rate. Now we need you to watch suit. Can't let you go. Sorry. Like, yeah, that's the same everywhere.
Right. But it was a good time, man. I'll be honest, that line shack, military wise, is what kind of got me in line. Because the things that they did in there, as far as making sure folks were qualified and doing their job, we can't do that type of stuff no more, man.
No, of course not.
That's
2004? You
yeah.
clear? Absolutely not.
Man, I remember I showed up to work late. There was partying in Point Magoo started Wednesday. And so every day from Wednesday forward, there was somewhere to be at between either Ventura or all the way out to Santa Barbara.
Oh wow.
Different spots, LA. We were somewhere Wednesday to Sunday. So it wasn't rare for me to show up to work in the morning late because I just got back home from the spot maybe 2 hours ago.
Right.
So I get in late, and my first class, I never saw the line check chief. I don't remember this cat's name, but my first class was like, "Hey, what's up with the time?" And he always tapped his watch.
Right, hit you with the dang
My
time.
watch didn't even work. I found that out later. But I said, "Hey man, hey, I running a little late. Had some stuff going on this morning." He got, "All right, cool." Homeboy hand me a Dixie cup, one of them little plastic, little styrofoam cups.
Yeah.
And a spoon. And I'm like,
What's this?
what am I gonna do with this? He said,
Yeah.
you gonna get out there and clean them pad eyes.
Oh, not the pad eye cleaning.
And I said, one pad eye gonna fill this cup. He's like, yeah. And then you gonna walk back and dump that in the trash. And then go back out again. Bruh, I wouldn't lay no more.
Hey, that'll do it. That's the corrective measures that we used to get back in the day that we can't do that no more because that's like, what's the term? Like abuse or harassment. Hazing, all that, right? Now that's considered, instead of a correction for a deficiency, that's considered like abuse of power, and people start crying and whining about that type of shit now. But yeah, back in the day, that was acceptable, and you did it because it was either out of paperwork. I take this over the paperwork. I go ahead and clean these pad outs. You know what I'm saying?
The paperwork got me later, so I would appreciate that. I appreciated that over the paperwork 10 times.
Okay. So you leave Point Magoo, right? Did you make second before you left up out of there?
So I made second.
Oh shit.
And lost second.
Right.
So I made second right under my 2-year mark. And then was getting ready to transfer. Got in trouble in Point Magoo. Went to Mass. got defrocked, and it was defrocked until transfer. Um, and then I checked into my next command, and my next command allowed me to put it back on. So I went to HM15, and I wanted to get to Texas, and the only place I could go to was HM15 down in Corpus Christi.
Right.
Yeah. Which that's another. We don't have anything down there anymore, but that was another one of the Navy's best kept secrets, man.
Corpus Christi, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, I had to go through something similar, man. I made it, under 2 years, first time up, both times. Man, I thought my shit ain't stank, man. So shit. Boy, I walked into that goddamn captain's mess and he was like, hey, I gotta take that crow. That's how he told me. He's like, I gotta
Yeah.
take that crow. I almost fainted in that thing. I said,
Hey,
oh my God.
man,
Oh,
my problem has always been my mouth. It still is. It's just I've just gotten to the point where my pay grade has caught up to my mouth. So,
right. Big fact.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as a younger sailor, man, I I was horrible, and so I probably could have got out of that situation just with DRB. But DRB is not the place for someone with a smart mouth. That's
Nah.
And so by the time I got out of there, they were like, "Yeah, you got to go. You got to go
Yeah.
up."
Yeah. A room full of chiefs with a sailor with a smart mouth who they already got paperwork on. Oh
Man,
man.
bad business.
Oh, that's the equation for death sentence right there. Dead
Oh
man
yeah,
walking. Because chief man, you can't tell them, man. Y'all boys know, but they know everything before you walk in the room. And you go in there, incriminating yourself instead of just telling the truth.
yeah,
I think I said that wrong when I say incriminate yourself. When I say incriminate yourself, I mean you go in there and start lying instead of just being truthful because they got 99.9% of the facts already,
yeah.
is what I mean. So if you just go in there, you be straight, hey, look, I fucked this up. Like, I'm here to just, accept my punishment and move on. But them sea
Absolutely.
lawyers get a hold of them sailors and they be like, look, this is what I did when I went in there. All you got to do is blah, blah, blah. And then you good. And then next thing you know, they on 45 because the chief mess was gonna throw it out, but you went in there lying, so now you
Yeah.
fucked. Yeah, so you get out of Point Magoo, you barely escape with the skin in your teeth with your second class crow, right, and then you go over to Corpus Christi. So how was that for you?
Corpus was love, man. I love being back in Texas, about 6 hours from the house. So as often as I could get back home, I would. That's the first time I really actually got to work in the rate as an AZ and learn the rate, and then honestly, eventually grow an appreciation for it. Man, I fell in love with being an AZ as boring as some people may think it is. Um, and that was honestly I would have to say that was my turning point as far as my point of view of the Chiefs, man. Because leaving
Mm.
Fort Magoo, man, you couldn't sell me nothing about no Chief.
Oh,
I wasn't trying to hear it. Except I'll say, man, my first chief at Magoo, not to circle back, but my first chief at Magoo was Theodore Christie, man. He was a AZC. Um, he's about as cheap as you could get, man. He was a little bitty short, stocky dude, had this real scraggly voice. Um, Super smart, man. Just how intellectual he was when it came to the rate was
right.
crazy to me. This cat had this old beat up suitcase, man. This thing looked like it was like a relic from World War II. Uh, and he had all these just random pieces of paper and notes and there was no organization for this, bro. None whatsoever. But if you go ask this man a question, he didn't know it. He would always go, "Oh well, let me consult the ancient one." That's what he called his briefcase. If you crack this briefcase open and fumble through these papers, and oh yeah, right here it is, and you'd be like, "What? What?
This old
What is this?"
1939.
But it would be right, man. It would be
Right.
it would be whatever you needed. So it got to the point where I took notes after that. Now my notebook was organized. It wasn't no mess like he had.
Yeah, some more
But
Doctor Strange bookish.
yeah,
Yeah.
I modeled my approach to the rate and the job just like that. Anytime I came across something new that I knew, hey man, this could happen later, and I'm not gonna know how to do it. I wrote that down and was good to go. But leaving Magoo, my view of the Chiefs mess, because of what I had went down in DRB, I was cool on all that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to Corpus and met my first chief there, which was Lisa Stockdale. She ended up retiring as a CMC here recently. Lisa was, hey man, well, if you could package a mob boss, a MMA fighter, a nurse, a therapist, a guidance counselor, and pack it into one person, that's probably Lisa Stockdale, man.
Yeah.
Just outstanding chief. And to the point where the only reason I'm actually still in is because of her. Because I had got there, I got a adverse eval leaving Magoo and not recommended for retention.
Oh damn.
Yeah, yeah.
That's around PTS time too, man.
So
Oh,
PTS,
damn.
I'm
Yeah.
going into PTS with a adverse eval, and I didn't know nothing about it.
Yes. Oh, I mean, as an AZ. Oh yeah, yeah,
And so,
Oof.
literally a few months before I got to go into PTS, I try to submit my stuff, and they're like, "Hey, you can't re-enlist." I'm like,
Yeah, man.
"What do you mean?" Yeah, no, not with this.
No,
And
sir.
so I hit Lisa, well, chief at the time, and was like, "Hey, they saying I can't re-enlist. What can we do?" She's like, "Don't worry about it. I got it."
Mm.
What? They just said this ain't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
worry about it. I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Next thing, and I'm in Bahrain at the time. So next thing you know, um, I get an email from her basically saying, "Hey, I don't know how a sailor of your character and caliber ended up with an adverse eval, but we're gonna give you a special eval to reestablish your recommendation for retention."
Right.
And so they debriefed me on my eval out there. Um, Fairly decent eval for being just a one-on-one to establish retention, being
Right.
able to re-enlist. And then from there on, was able to re-enlist and keep it pushing, man. So Lisa most definitely was the key in making that happen because your boy was about to be out and be done.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's dope, man. I mean, I see a lot of Chiefs these days. They probably would have just went like, "Hey, man, sorry, nothing I can do for you."
Yeah,
Last eval, it must have been something you did, you know. Um, but that's a testament to that group of Chiefs that, especially back in the day, that wanted to make sure sailors,
oh yeah,
who made a mistake back in the day. And a couple of previous guests spoke about this too. Back in the day, we all made mistakes when we was young coming up, man. But having somebody in the Chiefs mess to stand up for you and use that silver bullet, because of what you've shown them potential wise is key, man. So hopefully all the Chiefs out there watching and listening, man. I see that, man. You can't use it on everybody. Like some people can't
nah,
be, like
you can't save everybody, but
can't save them all, dog. Can't be super chief, dog. Some people deserve to go home, man. But once you get that diamond in the rough that you see with that potential, that you got to be able to use that silver bullet. You feel me? So,
absolutely,
yeah, man. So she saved your career, man.
yeah.
You go from when did you pick up first?
So I picked up first right at about my 6-year mark. There at 15.
Okay.
Hey, gotten a little trouble midway through,
Oh,
and then yeah, man, yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah. Hey, man,
She don't put her ankle on the line, and you went and gaffed it up. God damn.
hey, man, I done seen the man 3 times, man.
Oh, damn. Hey, one time was enough for me. I tapped out after that. I said I ain't fucking around no more.
Man, I'm hard headed, man. I can't, I'm hard headed. So,
Oh man.
but again, the Chiefs mess got me through that one, man. I can't even
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
Felix Mata, I actually spoke at his retirement. He was a senior chief. Um, Came through for me. Dan Patterson, Lisa again, Carla Gilbert. A lot of these cats still, I still talk to them. They're still my mentors today.
Right.
But they again, came to the table to make something happen for me, and was able to make 15 a successful career. So ended up picking up E6 probably about 3 or 4 months before I transferred to Oklahoma, and
Mhm.
it was all she wrote. But I ended up doing well at 15, man. Came out of there with a few awards and
Yeah.
E6, fairly knowledgeable in my rate. You couldn't tell me nothing when I was walking out that command, man.
No, of course not. When you put on that third chevron, oh, it was over. I remember when I put my third chevron on. Man, you can't tell me shit, bro.
Yeah, man. Hey,
First class. One of my sailors asked me yesterday at my or 2 days ago at my promotion ceremony. He was like, "Hey, sir, what was your favorite pay grade?" I said, "E6." Yeah, it's not even close. Like, because you can straddle that line.
yeah,
Like, you still cool enough, right, to talk to the blue shirts, to right, not for them to shun you completely as a khaki, and the khakis want you to be a khaki, so they trying, get you right. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So you in that gray area of not quite a khaki, but not quite in being excluded from all the blue shirt activities and conversations. Try to
yeah.
get all the tea on the deck plate. So it was a great pay grade for me, man. Great
Man,
pay.
I feel like as a branch, we heavily misuse the first classes.
Oh, I agree with you, but I'm curious to see what you think though. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like, and so the last, since being a CMC and since being in the position to kind of make that change, and that really started for me at 31, a few commands ago. I try to take stuff that normally we would throw at the Chiefs mess and put it in the hands of the first classes. And it's twofold. One, typically I don't have enough Chiefs to be bogged down, to bog the Chiefs mess down with things that capable first classes can handle. And then two, we make the same complaints every season when we get these first classes through Chief. Oh man, this group ain't like the last. Oh man, woo, woo, woo. Well, the problem is on us. We own that fault because the first time that these first classes are being exposed to Chief level things is when they already wearing Chief. We're
Mm,
not doing a good job of pressure testing the system and testing their abilities to perform at that next level early on. We
mm.
we have bought in so much into the allure of the Chiefs mess. And don't get me wrong, it's there, and I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a point in time where the Navy E6s was it.
Brandon. Oh my God. My
That's
first
it.
my first LPO. Man, this dude was like Jesus, dog. IT1 Thompson, USS John F. Kennedy, dog. Him and IT1 Wheeler. I never forget them cats. They was the shit, dog. When I
Look,
tell you these cats was like God to us, IT1 Richardson. Like them three cats. It was a three-headed monster, bro. One had ADP, one had tech control, one had message center, and one was like the overall LPO too. Like dog, like these cats was like your dad basically. Like no bullshit. You couldn't get shit past them. They didn't tolerate no bullshit. Like it
mhm,
was like straight up like this is the in line. And like we had like four chiefs, we had two warrants, like,
yeah,
but it was those first classes who ran the show, bro. Like no shit.
absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
we've gotten too far away from that.
yeah,
And
I
and
agree.
so my goal has always been to in this position to empower the Chiefs mess and to pressure test them because again, we set them up for failure the minute that they come into the mess. And half these cats first time they write a legitimate eval is when they put on Chief.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But my question for you to follow up on that is why do you think that we no longer, I guess, like you kind of, said, pressurize or pressure test the first classes with the role that they would, inherit as a chief? Why are we not doing that as much?
Brand name.
Yeah.
Brand name. And I'm gonna tell you why, man. And I've referenced this before in a Sailor 360. I won't argue with you that the Chiefs mess is the gold standard brand for leadership, right? You
Yeah.
think chief, you automatically equate that to leadership and results. And so anytime, no different than you get brand associated with something, you know, when you need a tissue, 9 times out of 10, you don't ask for tissue, you ask for a Kleenex.
Sir. Yes, sir.
That's not
Clean.
even what it's called. That's just the brand, but it's the brand that you've associated with quality in that product. Well, we in the Navy have associated results and leadership with chief. So rather than take the chance on training and developing the first classes adequately, we hit the easy button. We throw a chief at it
Throw a
because
chief at.
we know it's going to get done. So
Right.
rather than focusing on building the next, developing the next, and empowering the first classes, we don't want to take that chance. We
No,
want Kleenex. We want the brand name. So fling a chief at it, and it's gonna get done.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. And it's a double-edged sword because, and just recently, like from my last couple of tours, like the first classes have been so stripped of their authority and ability to lead at a higher level that they kind of just go palms up and it's like, well, the Chiefs got it right. So
Right.
they don't even have those dogs in there like them OG vets, right? And another double-edged sword is these cats advance so fast that by the time they get into the mess and they get settled in, they already picking up Chiefs. So it's just like that's a pit stop for them. And that's not a bad thing, right? I don't want to say that's a bad thing when people advance. But on the other end of it, the lack of experience that they have in the Navy, the second command in, they putting on khaki on their way out the
Yeah.
door. So it's just like, damn, like, of course they don't have time to write an eval or be the semio or lead a major command project. They so worried about stacking their resume on their way out the door to make khaki, right? They don't really have that, baked in experience or salty experience as that person who's led, done the administrative side of being a leader, right? You get a lot of technicians that convert over, and then when it's time to deal with a people problem, they have no fucking idea, bro. They just like, what am I supposed to do with this person who fucking got locked up yesterday? I don't know, like
I
shit.
mean, you sound like you took the words out of my mouth. I went on a Facebook rant probably some months ago. Uh, and uh, and I don't hide it. I started off with rant, and then and I said the same thing. That the problem isn't so much that we advancing these cats early. The problem is the metric of which we use to advance is skewed. And
Mm,
so what ends up happening is, like you said, we'll take a master technician and promote him to lead other technicians because of how great he was or she was as a technician. So
mm-hmm,
now they're in a position to lead other technicians, but in no point in time did we base them moving into a leadership position off of their leadership acumen. We
mm,
based it off of how good of a master technician they are.
mm-hmm.
Well, just because you can turn a wrench or fix the problem or do whatever doesn't necessarily mean you can lead those in that same capacity.
Yeah,
And
true.
so
Yeah,
the first block on the eval is the biggest lie in the world.
yeah,
Every time.
yeah,
Led such and such amount of sailors and doing blah 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 blah
yeah.
blah.
Fake news. Yeah.
That you directed sailors, you managed task accomplishment, you managed mission accomplishment, which yeah, there's some leadership in that, but true leadership is ability to influence and inspire. So who did you influence? Who did you inspire? What changes did you implement to make sailors better in their profession and in their personal? That's true leadership. Did you create the next you? Did you create the next two or three you? That's
Mm-hmm.
true leadership. How many sailors of the quarter did you get? How many times were your division or your section recognized for their accomplishments? But the first block is led in doing stuff. Well, what you got on your collar will make them do stuff.
No, absolutely not. Not even
Yeah,
as an officer. That shit that don't move the needle no more. Like
no
nobody
more.
that. Facts.
So we can't keep treating true leadership, administrative acumen, and institutional knowledge as an afterthought. And that's what we do. Unfortunately, that is the reality. We're such a technical force that all of those other things are secondary to the technical knowledge. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be, but in reality, what I'm saying is when you start talking about grading somebody as a leader, all of those things on the same playing field. And if you cannot do them all equally, then you don't belong in that position.
Ooh, boy, you out here spitting fire. Ooh, you gonna hurt some people's feelings because a lot of people gonna throw back at you, right? I'm just gonna play devil's advocate with you.
Okay.
Oh, the chief's supposed to be the technical expert, right? So if you're not a technical expert, then you shouldn't be the chief. And I call bullshit on that sometimes because I get a lot of since I've been commissioned, I get a lot of first classes and even chiefs sometimes that come up to me and like, man, I gotta get in the weeds for my first couple of months here. because at my previous commands, I didn't know this part of the job and this part of the rate I was never exposed to. And this is what I tell all of them. I say, it's too late. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have time for you to go back here and become the subject matter expert on this
Right.
one area you never had a chance to do. I need you to manage and lead these sailors, right? And inspire them. And this is what I also tell them. I tell them leadership 101 is getting somebody to do shit that they don't want to do. How do you get
100%.
these sailors every day to walk into this shop after having to drive 35 minutes through traffic, pay fucking $10 for a toll, park 20 minutes away to walk down this fucking pier and make them still want to come in here and do their maintenance today? How do you
Absolutely.
inspire and lead them sailors to do that? If you can do that, then I know you a fucking leader, right? Because all that other shit, it goes down the drain because you said so, or because chief said so. Like when I see first classes and chief said because I said so, instead of them taking that ownership and saying because this is what I need y'all to do, I
Yeah.
automatically get turned off to that leadership style. I'm just like, you can't go out there and tell them to do it because I said so. You need to go out there and tell them to do it because you said
You said
so,
so.
right?
Right.
And they don't, and some of them don't understand that. So that few folks who do that, I'm just like, okay, I got one, right? Like the chief I got now, oh, cold. When I say cold, she don't even let me go outside. Like she's, sir, what are you doing? I just be like, my bad. Like she's a monster, right? And she be like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, oh shit, okay, chief, shit, you got it. Like, let me
Right.
get my ass about the way, right? And then another part to that is when it comes to first class leadership. I just want to reiterate, it's really hard for those guys. Like the first class mess I have now, I kind of recommend it. I say, hey, you guys don't even have a first class mess here. It's like 15, 20 of y'all. Like we just made like 7 or 8 of them off this last advancement cycle. So it's like a whole
Mm.
shit load of them. And I'm just like, why don't y'all just change that, that lounge into a first class mess? I talked to the OIC, you guys should do that, right? And they were like, nah, we're good. I was like, what? Like, damn, like they don't even want to establish a room for them to congregate and, talk business. They don't even think that's something that's worthy or worthwhile. So that's great. That was crazy to me. So
I
yeah, I
mean,
don't.
it's when you mentioned, I might upset the chiefs of old who are like, oh, we got to be the technical experts.
Hey,
I've
yeah,
heard that before, right? And I always respond with, uh, why don't we typically refer to chiefs if their technical acumen is supposed to be so important? Why don't we refer to you by your rate? Why do we not call you ATC, uh, PRC, MMC? The typical term is chief,
chief. Yeah,
and
facts.
it's almost borderline derogatory to refer to a chief by their rate once they've made chief. Like it's almost smart ass. Like,
Yeah.
all right, MMC, you know, and I tell them the reason for that is because nobody cares what your damn rate is.
Nobody, especially the fucking
No,
leadership.
nobody
Nobody.
cares. The only part that matters is chief,
Right.
and chief means leadership. So, hey man, you could have been the greatest technician in the world. Got you. I can almost guarantee you there's probably E5 in your shop that's better.
Absolutely. Running circles around you with the
Would
latest build.
dog you. So
Yeah.
you're not here for that. Your new level of expertise is to lead. And I'm not saying that you don't need high technical acumen to do so. Absolutely. You got to be able to coach and groom these kids. But at the same time, where do you spend the majority of your work? Where do you spend the majority of your time? When you're wearing a uniform and you're wearing the anchor, what is that anchor typically doing? It's
Mm,
dealing with sailors.
absolutely.
And so if whatever leadership product you got to put forth isn't really centered around sailors, it's very difficult for me to say that you are, really carrying out the full duties and responsibilities of that anchor.
Yeah.
I don't need chiefs to go
Right.
turn wrenches. I don't need that.
Yeah.
There's E5s and E6s to do that. Um, I need the chief to make sure that everything leadership and guidance wise is covered down for those sailors so they can go do that.
Right. Yeah. That's big facts, man. Like all that stuff you spitting. I mean, I was wholeheartedly on board with that until those commissioning results came out. I was like, oh shit. I was like, hey, chief, you got that shit?
Hey,
I just be like, hey, Chief, them E5 eval, you got that shit?
hey, you punted the hell out that anchor.
Hey, full fledged, man. Hey, I mean, I love the Chiefs mess, but I was like, I did my time. It's time to roll out.
Yeah,
Much love to the Chiefs mess. I love y'all, man. Once the Chief, always Chief. Don't forget about me, y'all. But
absolutely.
yeah. Hey, but you kind of hit on a couple of things already around this question I'm gonna ask you, man. But now as a CMC, right? Leading chiefs, man, that's got to be one of the most auspicious jobs in the military, right? As a chief leading other chiefs, because every chief is not going to be on board, man. Like I've seen it, like it's the best, like especially when they carry on that forward, boy. I know Donnie was going through hell, boy. The master chiefs, when you got 16, 17 master chiefs, all with their own different departments and agendas and opinions, that's rough, man.
It is.
I know you guys get extra pay for a reason. Just having to manage personalities in itself, along with the triad babysitting and the sailor problems and the barracks fucked up and the birthing got fucking roaches in it, right? All the shit y'all deal with is crazy, but managing chiefs, right? That's a huge part of the deal. So explain to me how you gone about after picking up senior enlisted leader, command senior chief, command master chief, managing the chiefs mess. How's that been for you?
So the Chiefs mess is unique in the sense of we kind of breed the chief to be as autonomous as possible, right? A good chief is one that can encounter a problem, develop a few different results for the problem, and execute the results for the problem before he or she even got to notify the chain of command. Like someone told me once that your best chiefs spend 25% of their time making things disappear before they even get to be actual problems. And I'm not talking about hiding them, but I'm talking about actual finding solutions.
Fact. Ooh, that's a
So,
bar right there. That's a big bar.
so then take that into context. This is the person that you have to come guide and lead. So you have to guide and lead an individual whose mind is, I got this.
Mm.
So you can't approach it from you can't son them. You can't approach them from a big dog, a big dog junior pup status.
No.
At the end of the day, you have to respect the fact that chief is an accomplishment. It's not something that's easy to make. And so when you're relating to your chief's mess from a leadership position as a CMC, you have to start off with true respect and understanding of what they do, and how they execute what they do. Um, and then you're able to course correct as necessary. And sometimes it might be you that gets course corrected, and you have to be humble enough to take that.
Yeah.
Um, I checked in on Comfort as a command senior chief. I didn't know nothing about hospital corpsmen,
Yeah.
nothing. So a lot of my decisions in leadership was based off of guidance that I got from my most trusted chiefs. I had a chief on Comfort, Paul Reyes. Paul was a get it done guy. If you put it in front of him, it didn't matter if it was his job. It didn't matter if he knew how to do it. It didn't, some way, somehow, he's gonna make it happen. Sometimes it kind of concerned me because I'm like, well,
Yeah. Hey,
but
you
I'm not
said
gonna
get
ask
it
you
done.
questions,
Hey,
you
I got
know.
it done. You know what I'm
Hey, you know, but
saying?
you have to be humble enough to know, hey man, yeah, you the CMC or you the command senior chief, but you're not the expert here. You
Yeah.
know, so it's no different than the head coach of a football team. Head coach of a football
Yes.
team
Yes.
typically has its own specialty, defense or offense. If you defense is specialty, well, cool. Then you know something about defense.
Right.
But offense ain't your game, so you got to trust that offensive coordinator. And so at the end of the day, when it comes to leading the Chiefs from the position of a CMC, trust is going to be key. That way, when you do have to correct, when you do have to instruct, when you do have to guide, they know it comes from a place of earnest and not just because you flicking your cookie.
Yeah.
Um,
Cookie.
and I'm
Yeah.
not a I'm not a 51% man. I'm not. I cannot be. I know that there are times where that's necessary,
Yeah.
and I'm
Absolutely.
not at all afraid to make that call. But I've told all of my chiefs, please don't ever make me do that.
Yeah.
I feel like most decisions that need to be made within the mess require the true meaning of the mess to come together and make those decisions effectively. Um, and a lot of those are too big for one person to make.
Yeah.
So
That's
don't
high end. Yeah.
yeah, don't put me in that position. We should always be able to come to the table together and put all of our expertise and knowledge into making these decisions. Now, hey, sometimes it's hey,
Nothing
yeah,
you can do about it.
it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I try my best to avoid that, and that really helps me. Really helps me connect with them to where I do see something. It's never really an issue for me to say, hey, we may need to adjust this. We may need to do it this way. Hey, I know you want to do this with your career, but your
Yeah.
strengths is actually over here, and you may
Yeah.
want to look at this. You
Yeah.
know,
I love your sports analogy because I use that all the time too.
yeah,
I tell the Chiefs, hey, we in the business of talent management, right? Talent management. Why would we put Sailor A in this position to where we know they suck at, right? I'm
right,
all about development and all that good shit, right? But in the time being, I need their primary focus to be on their strengths. And then we need to use that spare time to brush up on their weaknesses. I'm not going to put or agree with a decision to put somebody in the area that they're totally weak in, right? And then everybody else is helping them pick up the slack along the way. Initially, I want to put them in the area of their strengths and then give them the opportunity and the time to develop those weaknesses instead of the reverse, right? Because that's what we do a lot of times. We tell people, hey, get out of your comfort zone, right? And go do this. I mean, that's good, right? In some cases that applies, but for me, I really want to put people in their area of strengths first and then allow them the time to develop those strengths, I mean, those weaknesses as we go along, right? Because operations got to get done still, and I don't want to
hmm
be, holding the bag when it's time to get shit done because all off the strength of developing somebody's weaknesses. Sometimes we're not going to have the opportunity to do that.
right,
And then the second thing is, I'm gonna add on to your analogy about the head coach of a team, right? And this is the analogy I use, and I told this to my chief a couple of months ago, because they're in the IT world, right? You got ADP and you got tech control, right? You got the network and you got the voice comms and all that other stuff, right? The
yeah,
terrestrial circuits and all that stuff that you got to talk on a bridge and in combat with. And I've done mostly one side of the rate for most of my career, right? Which is the RF side, right? The ADP stuff, I didn't really get put into that till I was a chief. So I didn't get the hands on that I wanted to until I was already in khakis, which is of course too late, right? All the sailors are like, get the fuck out of my way. Don't touch nothing, right? So I tell chief, man, I said, hey, look, um, you're gonna have some different type of leaders, and I gave her the head coach analogy. I say, to your point, there's technical experts in the field of football when it comes to offense and defense,
right,
and then you got those head coaches who are quote unquote walk around guys, right? That's what I like to call it, a walk around guy. What is a walk around guy, right? Even though I have expertise in a specific area, I don't even really fall back on that, right? Unless I
right,
absolutely have. My job, from what I feel, is I need to walk around as much as possible and ensure the sailors have what they need, right? And what I mean by that is I go around. First thing I do is make sure all the paperwork, all the chits are routed, everything in my box is gone, right? Because I don't want to sit on shit. I want to make sure less than 24 hours everybody's shit is routed. Number two, I go talk to all the khakis when I walk into the command every day. Check on them, see how they doing. Did anybody from my shop need anything from them? Because I'm the officer liaison outside of that department, right? That is
hmm
my job to ensure that I'm liaisoning with all the officers and everybody in the triad to advocate for my sailors, right? That is my responsibility. And I shouldn't be waiting for them to come talk to me. I'm going to go take the initiative to go talk to them. Hey, this is what we got going on. This is what my sales is going to be. These are the requests coming down the pole, right? So you guys understand it's not a surprise when they put this leave shit in, or if they put in this, request for whatever the case may be to go to the school, right? I want to give them the heads up and talk to them about it. And then I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna shoot the shit with them, right? And
right,
that's the chief that's still in me, right? I can't help it, right? I'm just not gonna turn that off. I'm gonna walk around the shop. I'm gonna ask them, what's going on, about the latest pop culture shit, about, maybe a little bit of politics, not too much, because people get a little crazy about that. But I'm the walk around guy, right? I'm the guy that's gonna walk around the command, hold my little cup of coffee in my hand and shit, and then ask you how your people doing, ask you how your weekend was, right? And what I do when I do by that is I kind of, try to embed myself as somebody who's personable, who's approachable, right? Because at the end of the day, they need people that they can trust, outside of the work shit, right?
Right.
And and of course that's the chief's job. Unfortunately, at my command, we only got two, or well, three, but two up one of them getting ready to get commissioned. So there's not really a chief presence there. So I take that upon myself sometimes to, sprinkle myself in and do a little bit of that. But back to the analogy you use, I like to, consider myself the walk around guy. Even as a chief, I was like that, the walk
Mm,
around guy, right? Because I'm not going to stand over your shoulder while you're troubleshooting the issue. I'm not going to be the person that's going to sit there and, be meticulous with you and, dive into the pub, the 1893 pub, like your old AZZ. That's not me, right? I'm not going to do that, right? When I was a technician, I hated that.
right.
So when people stand over your shoulder as you're working the issue, that's that is what it is. But being able to find a reference, of course I do that all day. But I love the sports analogy, and that's something I use all the time as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
It's the easiest way to explain it, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about the a little bit more about the CMC path, man. So you go to the comfort as a command senior chief, right? And then
Hmm.
you pick up command master chief. So what's the difference, right? As the senior chief with the cookie and the master chief with the cookie. What's the biggest difference? Less the 8 and the 9 part of it.
Honestly, I think it depends on the person. And in reality, it depends on the person. Because you wasn't gonna tell me on comfort that wasn't my ship. So you know, what 1 star, 2 star, no star. Let's go to the bar. Comfort was my ship. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, as long as that's the mindset you have. What I have noticed though, um, we're creatures to habit in the military, and we associate rank with experience and knowledge. And so you'll look at a command senior chief and you'll think, okay, well, they're just getting started. Uh,
Mm,
they may not know what they're doing. Whereas even though a command master chief might be on their first tour because they directly came over from their source rate, um, typically they don't too much get those questions. I can't say that I get them. Maybe it has something to do with, again, how I carry myself and the fact that I am coming off of a command senior chief tour. But uh, I think that's the major difference is that there's a level of comfort in having 2 stars that your leadership, your triad, um, seems to have, where sometimes with just one, it ain't there a lot of times.
yeah.
That's the major difference. The responsibilities to me are the same. To be honest, I think that comfort was a more challenging command than where I'm at now at HSC 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so,
Hmm. I can attest to that as well, man. As a W-2 coming into a command vice as a W-3 or W-4,
mhm,
it's like, the respect level is always there, but it just like always in the back of my head, like, damn, like, because when I checked into my command, I had commission on a Friday and I was checked in on a Monday. Like, so literally I was a chief 3 days ago, right? So I check into the command, and, they treat me with kid gloves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you good on this? You sure? Like, motherfucker, yeah, I'm good. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm straight. Like, so it's completely different now. I check into my second command. They were like, you department head, you got it. We'll see you later, right?
yeah,
So it's like a completely, it's like night and day of the authority and the responsibility they give you just because of a little bit of a pay grade bump.
right.
So yeah, man, I definitely feel you on that. um but let's transition a little bit, man. as a command master chief, you're already a big dog. But let's talk about this El Jefe title, man. Right? Ever since I know you, dog, a lot of people have been just like, "Hey, man, you got that's El Jefe." I'm like, "Who the fuck is El Jefe?" Who the fuck is El Jefe, man? Where did this come from, man? How did that come about as the nickname, man?
So that's funny, man. When I got to Ford, it really started on Ford.
I know it did. Probably was said them boys. I know it.
Hey, so honestly, you know who it really was, man? One of my junior sailors, between one of my junior sailors and Myron Prescott. You remember Myron Prescott?
Yeah. I remember Myron. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my junior sailors on there was Cotto. He was AZ3 at the time. He ended up making AZ2. Spanish cat from Puerto Rico. Had a thick accent. Hey man, I tell everybody, I could take over the world with 3 Cottos.
Take over.
Done. Cotto never said no to nobody. Cotto never complained. It doesn't matter how dirty, how grimy, how horrible the job. Cotto get it done. You had to be very careful what you told him. If I told, hey man, go snuff him right now. Okay, got it. Hey, calm down. Like you had to be very careful what you told him to do. He was just gonna go do it, man.
But real quick, why do you think that why do you think he was like that? Why?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. So he I don't know how we got into the conversation. He was older. He came in the Navy a little later. He had been in Puerto Rico. You could tell Cotto had seen some things.
Right.
And so I had some junior sailors who just complain all the time. Take out the trash, clean this, do that, just complain. Good sailors at the end of the day, and all of them have gone on to be, you know, first classes, getting ready to be chief, commissioned to be officers, fantastic sailors. But a couple of them just were complaining. And, you know, I just asked Cotto one day, I said, hey man, Cotto, just riddle me this, man. I had to bring him some bad news. I think it was a sailor of the quarter situation that we just knew he was gonna win, but somehow didn't. And so I told him that, and he was like, oh, okay, chief. And I'm like, I said, hey man, Cotto, I said, I mean, you could be mad, you could say, he's like, nah, it's no problem, it's another day. And I'm like, Cotto, how does nothing ever make you mad? He's like, he looks at me straight face. He's like, you know, and I gotta say it in accent because I mean, it's literally stuck in my head. He's like, you know how much money I make to sometimes just take out the trash? Like, I sit inside, I do stuff on the computer, and then I take out the trash. Do you know how much money y'all pay me for this? He's like, you need me to take out the trash, I take out the trash. It's no problem.
Yeah.
And so it really put it in perspective for me in comparing him to sailors who hadn't seen things. Cotto knew, like, hey, I'm in a good spot. I got the potential to do well. I'm making good money. I've worked harder and made less.
Right.
In comparison to sailors that were like, nah, this is beneath me.
Right.
So for him, it was very much he had that advantage because his past solidified what he was doing in his current and his future.
That's crazy, man.
To this day, probably still one of the easiest sailors I ever had.
Hey, you got Bruce Callens. You remember Bruce Callens?
Yeah, man.
He in the chat about you said he remember that situation.
Listen,
he said he remember that.
Callens was a dog for me, man. Callens.
Oh, he was a beast. I remember Callens.
What?
Always putting some glasses up. Yeah.
Hey, you have to be careful because sometimes you push those glasses, he's about to give you the business.
He was swole, a big motherfucker.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like these cats don't. Cotto helped me understand. I ain't gonna lie. I learned a lot from my junior sailors, and I think that's one of the best characteristics of a leader is you're never too big to learn from the juniors. If you don't, you're gonna fail.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so he taught me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. He taught me a lot as far as how how to adjust my leadership style based off of where you have been and what you have seen, because you can't go at those two different individuals the same way.
No, yeah, absolutely. So El Jefe stands for boss. So basically he was calling you boss all day.
So El Jefe either translates to the boss or the chief.
Bro, yeah, the chief as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he would say, "Oh, Jefe, El Jefe," and it stuck. And then people would say it to be funny. Myron Prescott, being funny, would say it. And I just kind of rolled with it. And my grandfather's nickname was El Conde, which is the Duke. As a matter of fact, I got it tattooed on the inside of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of stuck and rolled with it, man. And then before you know it, half the time people don't call me by my damn name.
They just call you Hefe. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but that's endearing though, man. You know, once you get a nickname that the sailors give you, you know, that's dope, man. Right?
Yeah.
If you give it to yourself, that's kind of corny, right? You walk around calling yourself whatever and shit. But once them sailors get a hold of you and they give you that nickname, man, you in there, man. And that's
Yeah.
because they trust and believe in you, man.
Listen, them cats at VRC 40, specifically Marshall, Casey Marshall, he was a crewman, man. Man, I was in the middle of the season. This is how bad that nickname stuff is, man. A lot of them cats at 40 call me Sprinkles.
Oh no. What's the backstory on this? Sprinkles.
So my first season with VRC 40, we doing training. You know how training go. It don't go. It wasn't
It don't
going.
go at all,
It
especially that
wasn't
first.
going.
That ain't happening.
And one of the selectees, I was offering some correction to some training. And one of the selectees was like, aye, chief, copy that, chief. And I was a senior chief. I was like, hey, whoa, I'm a senior chief. Sprinkle some star on my shit.
Sprinkles has been done.
And then from then on, man, hey, I still run into them cats every once in a while. I'm like, Sprinkles. And I'm like,
yeah, man. You gotta be careful what you say in shared environment, man. Because that shit will stick. That shit
they'll
will
never
stick.
let you live it down, man.
No, man, they won't, man. Hey, it's Saturday evening over there. I know we talked about you got your go juice with you. I done seen you take a sip, right? I ain't gonna hold you much longer. You know,
It's all good, man.
In the States. But we're gonna get you up out of here, man. With the final 5 questions, man.
Okay.
You ready for these, man?
I think so.
Okay. All right, man. So first question, man. Hey, what's the best advice you've received since you've been in?
Best advice I received was sit down and wait your damn turn.
I'm trying to take over everything.
Nah, man. Tanisha Troop, man. T. I don't know if you remember T from Ford.
Yeah, I remember T. Yeah, shining that gold too. Yeah, I remember T.
Hey, man, I'll never admit it, but I'm low key scared of T, man. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say it out loud or nothing, but I love T to death, man. I tell her to this day, she can call me any day. It don't matter what it is. I put someone in the dirt behind T.
You gonna sprinkle some Master Chief on? I know it.
T 100%. Man, I came to the fort extremely young as a chief. I knew I was good, arrogant as hell. And T made sure all that went away.
Yeah.
Okay. As a matter of fact, and I told the story at her retirement ceremony. I was a guest speaker. My first eval debrief, but I knew I wouldn't get no P. Me, I ain't get no P. I had chiefed the whole world. If you ask me, it wasn't happening. Hey man, T flung that eval at me like she flicked it across the table and it slid. And she said, "Hey, get your ass in here and sign this motherfucking P."
Get this P, baby.
Hey, I said, "Oh, hey, deflated." Okay, cool, got it. Recoup. I plotted to throw her off the ship, but I walked it back. I walked it back.
Oh my God.
It got cool. Next eval again. Hey man, I knew it. I knew I was in there. Boy, I got this old regular schmegular degular MP.
Oh man.
Boy, I was hot. I was 38 hot.
Yeah.
And I walked into T's office and I was like, "Hey man, I'm ready to go. Go.
Get me off this shit.
Get me off this."
Yeah.
And after she cussed me out,
Yeah.
something solid, she said, "Hey, it ain't your time. It's not your time. You don't have enough. And even if you were to get an EP, you ain't got enough. You don't have enough of a resume.
Right.
Your time is next time. You need to
Yeah.
build a resume." And she said, as a matter of fact, you need to deploy. And I got
Mm,
the and so she sent me to Bush for the
mm,
deployment. And I did the Bush cruise. Came back, did well on an eval. Left Ford in a good spot on an eval, and then made senior that next time up. And after talking to her, man, her approach to that is very much the same approach that I use now. Like, hey man, you might have EP performance right now, but
mm.
I got this guy over here that's also got EP performance, and their resume is ready to go. They got everything. This is gonna get them there and then out of the way. And then now we got you and we'll get you there and then out of the way rather than pushing somebody into a position too early and then now then stagnated a very highly coveted and limited EP spot. Her approach was honestly, hey, the best way to take care of the most who are deserving rather than, hey man, let me just hand it out and then now someone's sitting in the EP spot 3 years running and they made senior.
Yeah.
So I had to be very great. I was very grateful and still am to have learned, you know, I get it. We rate year to year, but you got to protect the summary group. You got to look out for the entire group. You're not just grooming one chief, you're grooming all. Um,
Mm.
and at the time, I couldn't see past myself, whereas T was looking at everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and that's what she said. Hey man, hey, shut up and sit down somewhere. That was,
Go waste your term. Dog.
hey,
Yeah, that's a humble pill to swallow, man. I remember I got that same talking to, but as a first class, well, as a chief too, but that was a whole different situation. Because unfortunately, my chief couldn't hold his mouth; he couldn't hold his water. So he come into the shop. I was a first class, and I had been on board like 8 months. But in that 8 months or 9 months, whatever it was, I had done everything. Right, we had done a deployment.
yeah,
I watched shoot. Right, leading my section of the shop, works in a soup. I mean, command and doc, like you name it, color guard. If you name it, I was doing it, right? And he walked in and he was like, "Look, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'm just like really frustrated." And he was like, "You outpointed everybody in the department. Like when we put it on paper, like all the stuff you doing, leadership, command, all that outpoints everybody, but your ass is gonna be a below risk of MP, right?" So I was just like, "What? Like, what are you talking about, dog? That don't make no sense." He was like, and this is the big scale part of it. He was like, the department LCPO who had the wherewithal to chop that shit down, even though he was fighting for it, was like, if we put this motherfucker as the number one EP, we got 7 other first classes, like you said, who's got the resume built on this ship as seasoned first classes that would not even, be garnered as EPs when we get to the ranking board. Because if you put this new guy in front of all of them, how's that going to look for the entire department?
right.
And in that time, as a first class, I'm like, I don't give a shit about no
Yeah,
motherfuckers. Like,
hey,
man, put the work in. That ain't
hey,
my fault, right?
hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
I
Run
got
me
nothing to
my
do with
shit.
me.
Run
Run
me my
me my
shit.
shit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
No, but he was right. Well, the DLCPO was right. Because in the grand scheme of it, like 3 or 4 of them made chief, cleared the path. But then the next time, I was in there like swimwear. So Very relatable story. I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, that was crazy that I got told that. But now, of course, on the other side, it makes a lot of sense. But what's the worst advice you've gotten, man?
To commission.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. You gotta explain this shit. What the fuck? Wait a minute.
You
Wait a damn
asked.
minute.
What?
Wait,
You
wait a
asked.
minute. Wait a minute now. You getting out of pocket, man. How is that the worst advice you received?
So
How?
listen, man. Uh, I I believe we need very intelligent, very capable, very down to earth, prior enlisted to cross over into the war room. It's necessary. They need it. They need as much as they can get. Okay. Um, but um, I made first so fast and I made chief so fast uh, that I early on I got a lot of advice like, hey, you need a commission, you need a commission, and I flirted with it as a first class for a few seconds, right? Um, I'm glad that I didn't. It's not for me. It's definitely other than the money. Now I'll take that. Now, you know, but other than that, it's not for me. And I always think about it like this, man. I'm from North Side Fort Worth, Texas, man. A lot of you. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I love my hometown. I love the upbringing I have. I wouldn't change it for all the money in the world. But where I'm from, it's very rare for people to do a job that they genuinely love and make a substantial amount of money. You're either gonna pick a career that supports your family and you tolerate it, or you're barely gonna make it. Or if you're lucky to be a ball player, make it into some type of field like that, or a doctor, a lawyer, cool. I can honestly say, as a chief, and even now more so as a CNC, I genuinely love my job. It's very difficult for me to have a day where I'm like, today ain't it. Even the worst days I've had as a CMC, I still love my job and I make a lot of money. So
Yeah.
to have both, to have a good living, a steady livelihood, and I can get up every day and genuinely say I love what I do. Um, I wouldn't trade that for the world. I don't think I would be happy as a commissioned officer. And
Mm.
would I be successful? Sure. I think I would be absolutely successful. But I'm genuinely happy. Like my command picture at the command is me, full cheese.
Big
Uh,
cheese.
Big cheese.
Big
I
cheese.
come in every day. I shoot the shit with the sailors. I'm picking on them. They picking on me because I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. They're gonna learn to watch
Oh,
their mouth. But aside from that,
oh,
um,
man. Everybody can't be perfect, dog. I feel you. It's all good.
uh, but I love what I do, man. And so for me to get to a point in my life and my career where I'm happy, like happy insert period here, man. Yeah, that's not really worth any additional money to me.
Yeah, all money ain't good money. Shit, I feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so a lot of deployments, a lot of traveling around the world, man. What's the best port visit?
Cartagena, Colombia.
Oh man, Colombia, huh?
Yeah, hey,
Oh man, I, I,
yeah.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can speak too much on that, man. But I
And
can.
I'm
I can
not.
understand. I can understand how that would be the best port visit.
What?
Oh
No.
man,
Um.
crazy.
No. I'll tell you this. I'm a fat kid at heart, bro. Like
Yeah.
I know you posted on there, like, hey, killing the weights. I have to work out, or I'd be fat as hell.
Hey,
Hey,
whatever motivates you to get to the gym, dog. Whatever it
I can
is,
eat.
dog.
Man,
Yeah.
Cartagena has some of the best food I have ever had in my life, and it
Yeah.
was cheap. I was eating like a king. I'm
Pennies
talking
on the
about
dollar. Yeah.
what? Lamb chops, lobster, shrimp, seafood, oysters. It was ridiculous. It was obnoxious, man. The way I was eating out there, and I've been twice. Um,
Yeah. Only audio was cutting up. Should be good now. Go ahead.
all right, yeah, that was my first port call in the Navy was Cartagena, and then I doubled back to Cartagena on CP-22 with Comfort. Hey, I tell everybody, if you're gonna travel somewhere, Navy or not, go to Cartagena, Colombia. As a matter of fact, I talked my sister into going. Absolutely loved it. It's one of her best
Yeah.
places she's ever been.
Very nice, man. So we talked about a lot of the leaders you've had coming up, man. You want to name off some of the other influential leaders you've had? Who are those? Some of those influential leaders you've had throughout
Uh,
your.
absolutely, man. I feel like again, I mentioned Theodore Christie out of VX30, my first chief. He gave me that first example of this is a chief. Like this is what it looks like.
Hmm.
Um, and then going into 1815, man, Lisa Stockdale held me down. Carla Gilbert. These are people who uh, sh- showed me that there is a need for compassion in leadership. But Lisa and Carla definitely nailed that down. Like, hey man, you got to be smart, you got to be tough, you got to be all that intelligent, but leadership requires compassion. There's no way to execute it without. Um, so definitely grateful to them for that. And then leaving there, man. Hey man, Eric Henson in Oklahoma City. He's long retired now. He probably in Jacksonville smoking weed or something, man.
Yeah.
You know, just living a good life. But the we get frowned upon sometimes for having personal relationships with your sailors, and I know there's a line you got to draw. You shouldn't have a personal relationship with, but a lot of the requirements for us to execute our job requires a personal touch. And if
Yeah.
the only thing you know about these sailors is the ins and outs of what do they do when they're wearing the uniform, you're out of touch. You're not going to be able to relate to them. And the time that you do got to issue some level of course correction, it's not going to be received as well as if you can at least say there's some type of personal tie there. Um,
Yeah.
so that example most definitely came from him. Um, and man, Tanisha Truth all day, man. Uh, I'm typically gonna get a text message or email or a phone call or all of the above if she even catches wind that I'm doing something out of pocket. So uh, most definitely T. I saw what she did on that Ford, man. And you couldn't tell me she was a brand new Master Chief in a mess full of very senior Master Chief. Her nickname, as a matter of fact, she's still saved in my phone is John Gotti.
Called a Gotti.
I kid you not. I refer to her as J. Gotti. Um, just how she moved when it came to taking care of things, taking care of that department, and taking care of her chief's mess. It was a sight to see. Talk to her regularly. Robert Barber over on Stennis. These are cats who 100%. I've just basically taken the the game plan that they put forth and just kind of mushed it together into something that I did. So I didn't make this stuff up. They did.
Yeah. No need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to leadership like that. I feel you, man. All right, man. Last one, man. All right. They don't make El Jefe CNO, right? We we in DC eating all the Cartagena Colombia food and shit. Like that's on the White House menu. You the CNO, man. What you got for what's something we gonna implement or change Navy policy wise?
First, we're gonna close this pay gap between officers and senior enlisted.
Whoa. Why you attacking the war room, man? We ain't did nothing to y'all, man. No,
Nah,
no, no,
man,
no.
nah,
No, no,
nah,
no, no. I'm listening. Go ahead. Go
nah.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, we should, but no. Honestly, so I was speaking about this the other day to someone, and I'll try not to go on a tangent because I tend to do that. Uh, there's a concept that I read about a long time ago that the more and more that I'm in the Navy, I see that this is something that plagues us, and it's the Peter principle. And that concept is because we promote off of time and individual flashes of merit and performance in the current job, you will eventually promote someone into a position of incompetence. Okay. We have to drastically adjust how we gauge when who we promote into a position of leadership. We've got to really start taking account for actual leadership abilities, institutional knowledge, administrative leadership ability, and not just solely focused on how well we do in this current job, in this current rate. Because you will eventually promote someone well beyond their level of ability. This is how you end up with chief petty officers who were great technicians as a first class, were great CDIs or supervisors, but now when it comes time to dive into having them manage 25 different personalities and figuring out how to get 25 personalities to buy into a mission that they know absolutely nothing about and take it on as their own, well, that requires a little bit more than you being able to be really great at your technical job. We don't rank that. And if you read any evaluation that we write for a first class that we think is shit hot, we started off with already performing as a chief, performing as a seasoned chief, could walk into the chief's mess tomorrow. But nothing of what they have done has tested that actual ability. So you lying.
Lying.
Yeah. So I think we need to really restructure how we rank that. If we're going to continue to put this much emphasis, this much responsibility, this much clout behind the chief and the chief's mess, then we really need to start evaluating true leadership abilities before they get in there. Because a 6-week season, that ain't enough to do it.
No, it ain't.
That's not what that's for.
Yeah. So, man, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I call it the eyeball test, honestly, man.
Yeah.
Because on my last year, man, I had a first class, man. I mean, she would bring me all this paperwork of all this shit she's done, eval stack full of accomplishments. But I'm just like, I watch you perform every day and you ain't nowhere near ready. Like, it's not even like I would never in my life be like, you are ready to be a chief petty officer. I don't give a shit how many PQSs and collateral duties you have because you're just not ready. Like, there's no way I would want my name on any documentation that said you are recommended to be a chief petty officer, right? And that kind of like takes people aback. Like, well, I did all the shit that they told me to do, and all my other mentors told me to do, and collateral duty. No, I don't give a shit about that. Like, you're not ready. I'm physically watching you fail performing leaders that a chief petty officer is supposed to do. Literally watching you fail at those things, 100%. Right? Just because the paperwork was good, a lot of those people slipped through the cracks. But hey, that's a wrap, man. Hey, much obliged to you coming through on your Saturday afternoon/evening, hanging out on the 1MC with us, man.
Of course.
This has been a great eye-opening experience to the world of your leadership style. Having Command Master Chiefs on the show has really opened my eyes a lot to a lot of leadership techniques that I wish I kind of had like 5-7 years ago, right, when I was still in the mist, man. But I'm going to do my best to incorporate that in the war room and pass it down to my chiefs as well, man. So greatly appreciate it. Thanks, bro.
No, appreciate you having me, man. Love it.
All right, man. Hey, but that's a wrap for the 1MC, man. And we out, man. Appreciate you.
All right, big dog.
Later.
Right.